So let's jump right in. You get to CPAC.
Yeah.
You go around. What's the first thing you noticed this year at CPAC? Have you ever been to a CPAC before?
Yeah, I've been to a couple. Of course, at National Harbor, those are, a lot of DC journalists attend those gatherings, which are typically like once a year type of thing. But in the recent years, CPAC has moved that down to Florida. And then they're also having these offshoot CPACs kind of across the country, different places. So Dallas, like Florida. I think they have one in like Wyoming or something. So yeah, no, but when I got there, started kind of walking around, and one of the first things or first people I spotted was actually Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes, who was in attendance. And of course, this was kind of a shock to me, right? Because he's under investigation by the FBI over his role in January 6th, and Oath Keepers have been indicted, and etc. It was kind of strange for me to see him there. So I go up, Salon approaches him and asks him kind of, why are you here? What's going on? What's the deal? And immediately he gets extremely upset, starts cursing me out at least, and his sidekick, this kind of pro-Trump associate who kind of runs in like local Texas GOP circles, if you will, kind of came up to me like really, really close and just, just yelling at me and screaming. And, it was interesting because CPAC decided not to do anything about Rhodes for the rest of the weekend, despite, many would think that would be a stain on CPAC's reputation, right? Having someone who potentially organized January 6th and had a role in that, you would think that most conservatives would be like, whoa, that's even a little too far for us, right? But for them, it was like, no, all is welcome. QAnon, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, come one, come all type of thing.
Right. I mean, I know you're being fair, which is obvious. It's the right thing to do. But I'm gonna say that I never thought they would do that.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious that even the most how do I put this, non-extremist Republican has officially sort of surfaced their true beliefs to show that they actually are, at the very least, welcoming of those subsectors of the Republican Party and conservative movements into the fold. Whether they are, whether someone's an oath keeper or agrees with militias or not, they certainly are welcoming them to the conferences, welcoming them to the movement. And I'm sure you have many more examples that show that at CPAC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It wasn't only Oath Keepers, it wasn't only QAnon, it wasn't only the Proud Boys, but it was also white nationalist Groypers, right? These are the Groypers, these white nationalists. It's kind of this loose grouping of like college kids, high school kids that follow Unite the Right attendee Nicholas J. Fuentes, who is like kind of this white nationalist, formerly a YouTube streamer. So yeah, there were white nationalists running about too, which, Turning Point USA has been kicking out of their conferences, but at CPAC, many of these kids were kind of roaming free.
Let me play a clip actually of Nick Fuentes and his Groyper crew showing up at CPAC, because it was, these guys did eventually get kicked out, right? Because they were causing issues, I should say.
Well, it was Fuentes. I mean, kind of got kicked out, but many of his kind of like groupies, if you will, hung out at CPAC throughout the weekend. And of course, I don't know if this is the video, but Nick Fuentes, right when he saw me when he was coming into CPAC, kind of swarmed me and started yelling Groyper and all this type of stuff. But
let's play this clip.
Let's do it.
Groyper! 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 Groyper!
Oh, there's Nick Fuentes.
It's White Boy Summer.
White Boy Summer.
It's America First. I was just telling everybody, we're doing a press conference at 5 p.m. at the Sheridan Hotel, which is like across the street. I'll be giving my most unchained speech ever.
Okay, so they ended up doing their own separate CPAC thing, and here they are coming into the event.
Mm.
America first! America first!
America first. first.
America first! America first! America first!
All right, I think we get it. I was going to see if this was the clip where they're yelling at you, but I don't think I see you here in this one. But let me ask you this: is that a new thing with the Groypers, the sunglasses? Because I've seen that the sunglass company has come out and said they want no part in Nick Fuentes and his America First Groyper movement. I don't recall seeing that be a thing. Is that their new like summer? Is that like the 2021 white supremacist summer look?
Yeah, Pit Viper, that sunglass company, the kind of these large like sunglasses that these white nationalists have kind of started wearing in bulk, if you will. This company came out and said, we want nothing to do with Nick Fuentes, and some of Fuentes' followers have said, okay, like, there was one video I saw in a Telegram chat of someone smashing their Pit Vipers, which did absolutely nothing. But like the company's like, we don't want to deal with this racist. Like these glasses aren't intended for you. And it was kind of funny because the Groypers always do this. They always do things that kind of they shoot themselves in the foot kind of thing. Like, for example, Nicholas Fuentes, after the Capitol riot, said, he told his followers to destroy their phones and SIM cards, if they kind of participated in 1-6 and stuff like that. So they're never too sharp. They always seem to really miss the mark and kind of get themselves in more trouble. I think this is probably what happened here.
Right. And I should say that we were talking about Fuentes, that last week on this show, I had Michael Edison Hayden of the Southern Poverty Law Center on the show, and we discussed his report on how Twitter is still a haven for white supremacists. And we talked about Nick Fuentes, obviously. We talked about Nick Fuentes on the show a lot, actually. Well, maybe more than others. But literally less than 12 hours after the show went off the air last week, Nick Fuentes was booted off of Twitter. So Michael Edison Hayes with that report that I believe was at least a push for people at Twitter to at least take a look at Fuentes' account and see what they were, not that they didn't know, but they probably felt the pressure.
Yeah, that report was really eye-opening. I read it. It was really good. I think one of the things, too, is perhaps Nick Fuentes is kind of this future of the Republican Party, far right wing. And I think people are just kind of coming around to this idea that, he kind of is the future. And, I think more and more coverage is kind of devoted to it, in part maybe because of that.
Right.